All right, B-listers, you know the drill.
This is your official spoiler alert for the episode.
If you don't want any spoilers, stop the episode now.
And if you don't care about spoilers, hold on to your seats because this episode starts
now. Hello, fellow B-listers.
Hi. Welcome to the B Critics podcast. We're your hosts, Liz and Court.
And our guest critic for this episode is Leigh. Hi, Leigh.
Hi.
Hi, Leigh. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm very excited. My first podcast ever.
I know.
You guys are already experts by now.
Basically, we wish. So Leigh is one of Liz and I's really good friends. She's actually Liz's husband's really good friend from DC. And I like to describe her as my super active friend who is a world traveler. And I wish I could have your life sometimes.
Oh, man.
But we're super excited to hear what you have to say about today's movie. So, Leigh, do you want to introduce the movie?
Of course. Today we are talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, Legally Blonde.
Woo! So before we get into really talking about the movie, I'm just going to give like a quick overview for any of you out there that, for whatever reason, have not seen this movie recently.
You're a boy,
or ever,
maybe.
All right. So Legally Blonde follows the very unlikely adventure of Miss Elle Woods, played by Reese Witherspoon, who is a fashion merchandising major and the Delta Nu sorority president, on her journey to become not only a Harvard law student, but the fiancé of Warner Huntington III, played by Matthew Davis. She runs into many obstacles in her pursuit to obtain these new statuses, but she stays true to herself, makes some amazing friends, succeeds even when everyone thinks she won't, and really looks good doing it. So what do we think? Will Elle get the degree and her dream guy? There's only one way to find out.
Watch the movie, folks.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good description, Liz. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So this movie came out in 2001, and I feel like it embodies everything about 2001, like in this movie.
Yeah.
The director is Robert Lukatic. I don't know him. And
This was his debut film.
oh, interesting.
First time director.
That's kind of a fun debut film.
Yeah, really came in with a bang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's known for, I think, just being like funny and creative, and obviously it's like very impressive cast, topped by Reese Witherspoon, of course, and then Luke Wilson, Selma Blair, all of whom we'll talk about. All right, are y'all ready to get into it?
Let's
Yeah,
do this
let's do
thing.
it.
Okay. So this movie, I feel like, is all about the characters in it. Like, I feel like they all are super individual and like set it apart. And so we're going to talk about a lot of them, like more than we normally would, I think. And so I want to start with, obviously, Elle, who is Reese Witherspoon's character and the main character of the movie. I'm assuming y'all like are in love with her, basically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love everything Reese Witherspoon does, but especially, I think this was probably my first exposure to her, like as a child, and fell in love and have continued that love ever since.
Yeah, I think she really set a pace, like, for young girls looking up to her of, like, you can do anything. Even if, you know, you, like, set your mind to something small, like, it can turn into something way bigger, which is really fantastic.
Yeah. And I think, so what you said about, like, the characters are, like, the main point of the story, I think also, like, character growth, that not all of them, like, Warner doesn't really have character growth. Spoiler alert, I know we're not talking about him yet. But I think, obviously, hers is... She grows in so many different ways, but so do so many of the characters. And I think that's why you just like fall in love with all of them.
Yeah. I think Elle is like so easy to just like fall in love with throughout the movie. Like she's lovable like from the get-go. Like she's so unapologetically herself. And I think that Reese Witherspoon's like portrayal of her is so amazing, and it's funny. Like I was laughing so much throughout the movie. I thought she did an incredible job.
Yeah, and like nice to her core in a way that like I feel like typically sorority girls are not portrayed in that way necessarily. I guess maybe on the West Coast, but like the whole time in the movie, she's just like so nice to everybody around her, which I think is all like that. That's more of like a Reese thing. Like I don't think Reese would ever play a character who's not like that. But this one, like that's just what I think about when I think about Elle.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because in an interview, Reese Witherspoon actually said she had a really hard time with this character because she's so energetic and so just like everything she does, you can like in watching Reese Witherspoon, she does a good job portraying this. Everything she does, she's doing for other people. And she gets so much joy out of that. And she's like genuinely just nice. But Reese Witherspoon said it was like exhausting playing this character, having to be like the happy person on set constantly.
How old was she when she was in this movie? Do we know?
She wasn't super young. And honestly, at the time, she kind of had a reputation for playing like older characters.
Yeah.
And she was not the original person they wanted for this. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Christina Applegate.
Oh.
Yeah. And so Reese Witherspoon, I think, had to like fight for this role a little bit because she was kind of known for playing some different roles. She'd never been a main character in any film prior to this one.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I think this one kind of like made her career, or at least like jump started it for sure.
So was Sweet Home
character energy.
Yeah, was Sweet Home Alabama after Legally Blonde then?
I honestly have no
It must
idea.
be.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah. So I just looked it up, and she was 25 during this movie, maybe 24, because I think she was 25 when it came out. So not too far off from the age. I mean, I guess she's supposed to be 18, so maybe that is a little far off. But
and 22, right? Because graduating college.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This
22.
is her secondary
degree. So not far off at all. Yeah. Well, I thought she was captivating.
Oh yeah, like throughout.
It's weird that you said she struggled with it because I feel like she was so high energy. Like it almost seemed like effortless, but
yeah. I mean, that's like
that's what they pay her for.
Okay, so next, Leigh, you mentioned, but Warner, played by Matthew Davis. So I feel like he is like just the epitome of like the, what do you call it, like meathead that his character is, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but
I would have said slime ball,
like
but
yeah. Yeah, that's a good name for him.
Like his ring when he's knocking on the door, I'm just like, ugh.
I know.
What did y'all...
He's like the antithesis to her. Everything about him is just icky.
What did y'all think of him like when you were younger?
I was just wondering that. Yeah, like when I first saw this movie, I can't remember if I was like, oh my God, he's amazing, or if I was like, ew. I mean, by the end, obviously, I was like team Elle all the way. But I think I like, probably thought he was better when I was little. And then as I got older, it was like, oh no, obviously Luke Wilson.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously. When Luke Wilson came on the screen, I was like, oh, that is Owen Wilson's brother.
Wait, had you never seen this movie before, Courtney?
I have. It's been a long time since I've seen it, though. Like, honestly, like I probably hadn't seen it since I was like 10 years old. So
that's funny.
But I think I watched this movie at least.
I was going to say, yeah, I watched it with
know.
Addie, and we were like literally reciting dialogue the whole time.
That's amazing. But yeah, Warner, I like immediately was like, this guy is bad news. But I could see like as being a little kid, you being like, oh, he's so cute.
Yeah.
Like she loves him. They're gonna
At
get
least
married.
at the beginning.
Like, of course he wants to marry her. And then no. Okay, so the next character is Bruiser, the dog.
That's Sweet Pea.
With the Tiffany's bracelet as his collar.
I just thought he was funny and cute. And I also thought it was silly that she had him in a dorm room.
Yeah. But I guess where else would he have lived?
a good point.
He is a great character. Definitely some comedic relief. I love how she just like she'll be just walking around and like talking to her dog, and it's like so what dog people do with their animals. It's adorable. And the when she like gets to Harvard and she like puts down the water bowl for him, and she's like, "Bruiser, honey, you must be parched." It's just so cute. He's great.
The thought that I have, though, every time I watch that scene is she just walks away and leaves the bowl on the ground.
Oh, somebody will pick it up.
I think that's kind of like how she lives her life, like
That's
very
true.
unconcerned.
Yeah.
That's like the opening song. It says like make breakfast for myself and leave the mess
That's
for someone
true.
else. Like,
oh my God,
is-
you're right.
That's her life.
That's very
The
much her
perfect
energy.
song.
Okay, so next is Vivian Kensington. And what's interesting is I forgot she has like a redemption arc in this movie. And like when I immediately was taking notes, I wrote down like in all caps, like hate her because she was so awful in the beginning.
Yeah.
And she was just like very prudish, I guess. Like her look, I was like, you're lame, girl.
Yeah.
I think that's
they
the
tried
point. Like they kind of had to make her look, because Selma Blair is beautiful, and they made her look like kind of average.
Yeah.
At the
What does
beginning.
Elle
quote
says
that-
she like, yeah, she's not completely unfortunate looking or something like that.
She's like the icky brown color of her hair and her bony unmanicured finger.
God. I have like a whole quote section at the end of this, and I feel like I'm not even gonna need it. Like, y'all are just gonna say all the quotes.
They're
I
also
know.
memorable.
I know they are. There are some funny quotes in this movie. Okay, so next is Emmett, who is the character played by Luke Wilson, and I really like his character.
Me too.
It's like hard not to like his character.
Yeah. But he even has some growth. Like he's associated with the skeevy teacher and then eventually realizes like, oh no, he's an asshole. I don't need him. And like is able to move into a better place.
He opens his own law firm at the end.
And cuts his hair.
Amazing.
Thank goodness.
He's gorgeous. The whole movie. What's funny is, okay, so at the end when he's got that short hair, that was a wig. Because he had, so, okay, they filmed the, like, what's it called? Graduation. They filmed the graduation scene, like, later. There was originally a different ending. And when they played the movie for test audiences, the audiences didn't like
Do you know what it
ending.
was?
And so it was something about, like, Elle and Vivian like being best friends and starting this like law group at Harvard. And so then it was like the group for like blonde women or something. And then the next movie was going to start like at that point instead of where it started. But like the audiences didn't like it because they're like, this is unresolved. Like you're just kind of like ending the movie in the middle of nowhere. And it's Luke Wilson had moved on to doing Royal Tenenbaums. So he had shaved his head. He didn't have any hair. And so they had to put a wig on him, which is why his hair looks different. And Reese Witherspoon had also cut her hair because she was doing The Importance of Being Earnest at the time. And so she had a bob. And so both of them have wigs on.
Does she also
it
have
makes
a
them
wig
look-
on? Sorry. Does she also have a wig on at the like the scene where Warner tries to like come back to her and she's like, if I'm going to be a partner at a law firm by the time I'm 30, I need a boyfriend who's not such a complete bonehead. When I watched it this time, I was like, it looks like she's wearing a wig. So I wonder if they also recorded that scene later too.
Probably. Yeah, I know at the beginning too, in the opening scene when you see like it's supposed to be her like brushing her hair, that's not her.
Okay, that makes sense.
Weird.
Yeah. Reese Witherspoon was actually like having her baby when they started filming this. She had like a brand new baby during filming for this movie.
Aw. Her baby that looks exactly like her now. That one.
Yeah, her little girl.
Yeah.
Little. She's not little
she's
anymore,
like an
but she was little at the time.
adult. I think Reese Witherspoon's like 47 now. So if she was having her baby then. Yeah, I bet they like re-recorded like a whole bunch of the end, to be honest. Like not just the graduation scenes. I bet she was wearing a wig. That was a good catch. Okay, so we talked about like Emmett, the good lawyer, I guess, but then Professor Callahan is the bad professor, bad lawyer man.
Yeah.
We don't like him, but we do like Jennifer Coolidge, her character Paulette.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she is the most iconic character of this movie, like by far, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem, well, I guess I don't know what that actress played before this movie, but it does seem like she plays the same character in every movie after.
Yes.
Like Cinderella Story is like the mean version of Paulette, and like White Lotus.
She does it really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the bend and snap scene, so that scene was originally not in the movie, but they wanted to showcase Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh.
And so they're like, she has to have a scene. And there was originally going to be a situation where like the nail salon was robbed or something, and she was going to have like her comedy moment then. But they were like, oh no, we're going to do this thing. And there's something I read somewhere said that somebody was drunk when they came up with the bend and snap deal. And anywho, yeah, she got her shining moment during the bend and snap.
I can't believe they almost didn't have that in there. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't really add to the movie. Like, it creates the second storyline of Paulette and the UPS guy, but
I know, but I feel like
other than that, it doesn't add a ton.
I feel like as a kid watching this, like that part of this movie like really stood out to me, like more than a lot of other things. Like I feel like that transcended the movie. Like people did that move and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird to think that it almost wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more character is Taylor, who's played by Ali Larder. And her character is the one who's like on murder trial. She's the
Brooke Taylor.
Brooke Taylor Wyndham.
Oh, wait. Her name is Brooke Taylor in the movie, her character? Okay. Well, I got her name right, okay? But
I was like, wow, what? I don't even know who we're talking about.
I was like waiting for you to tell me some like random side character.
Yeah, I think because like they must have just been referring to her as Taylor because she was like the defendant,
like by her last name.
You know? So, but her, and I thought she did her character like extremely well. And I just loved that character coming into the story because I feel like it gave an opportunity for Elle to just like completely shine, and their interactions were some of the funniest parts of the movie.
And she brings her the Bible.
I was going to say the Bible.
And it's like a Cosmopolitan. So this one came out in 2001, and it's like a Cosmo from like June of 2000. So it's like not even current.
It's better than what they have at the jail cell.
It's like, I brought you a loofah. You gotta exfoliate.
The entire Clinique skincare line.
So funny.
Obviously. You're so
You look so orange.
I was thinking back because don't they say like orange is not the new pink earlier? I always felt like it was like
a
callback
she talks
to that.
Cameron Diaz out of buying some like heinous orange something.
Whoever said orange is the new pink
is seriously disturbed.
Oh wow, we are literally not gonna have any. There's gonna be no quotes left. Okay, so let's go scene by scene now. And I'm gonna hit like the high ones, but feel free to add them in between because I'm sure I'll miss them. But the first one that stood out to me, like I guess just the first part of the movie, is her prepping for her date, and it kind of starts with her out shopping for her friends, and there's this scene where they go to the shop, and the shop lady tries to sell her the like rayon dress from last year, and that's like kind of where her like real personality like starts to shine in the movie.
Yeah, and you can like, I think it just clearly shows like up front that she's aware that she is doubted by the world because of how she looks. Like even before Warner breaks up with her, and it like becomes very, very clear in that moment, you get a small glimpse that she's already really aware of it and ahead of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie was originally supposed to be more of like a American Pie type movie. It was going to be like slapstick comedy and like kind of making fun of like girls in college. And the reason why they changed the direction of it was because Reese Witherspoon, she was like, I want to play like a different narrative of college women that like they can be cute and pretty and girly. And yeah, I'm a fashion merchandising major, but I know everything about my field. And like,
has
like,
a
just 'cause I'm
4.0
blonde doesn't
and
mean-
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so they decided to make it the like serious comedy. Serious, it's still kind of silly, but like a more serious comedy and make it more so about like her actually being intelligent versus just being a silly college girl.
Yeah, I definitely like that they went that direction, but I definitely feel the like slapstick comedy like trying to
Vibes.
get itself in there, I guess. Like even just the scene at the beginning where there's the girl like walking through kind of like all the frat houses and like the college campus and stuff. I feel like that feels very much like it felt like Neighbors or something to me, like not quite slapstick comedy, but like silly.
There's a scene at the beginning where you see like a pile of fraternity boys. They're all shirtless and like playing some kind of a game. Those are real fraternity boys on campus at Stanford that they just like these guys like showed up and were like doing, it was some kind of like initiation thing that they were doing, and they are in the movie.
I'm surprised they were able to
random.
get filmed, like that their fraternity allowed that, but
I mean, they're not, it doesn't show that they're affiliated at all with
yeah,
anybody.
that's true.
So,
They probably loved it.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure.
They're like, yeah, we're going to be famous. The chicks are going to dig this.
Especially when you ask a college guy to just like be themselves, like that's what they want. I'm sure they were like so like up their asses that they loved it. Okay, so that rolls into Elle getting ready for her date though. So like seeing her in the, I guess kind of like before that, but like seeing her in the sorority house and like she's prepping and like all the girls are like helping her get ready and stuff, like that whole montage, I guess.
I'm just going to point out real quick, that is not what living in the sorority was like at
The
all.
guy kissing,
Not in the slightest.
you know how there was like the couple kissing in the house? I was like, men weren't even allowed in the sorority houses.
Oh, really? Men were
They were
in
allowed
ours?
on the first floor. They were allowed on the first floor like while the sun was up. That was it.
Oh, we could have them everywhere.
Liz, you should speak more to this though, because I was not in a sorority, so I don't really know like all the stuff that was wrong. But I just think it's funny that the like Elle, the president, like gets her own like fancy room. Like surely that's not how it is too.
That's a thing.
Yeah, I was
Really?
president and I did have my own room.
Yeah. That is a thing.
Okay.
And the rooms are really nice.
Yeah.
Like the houses are nice. All of that's normal. There, we did not have like a sauna
No,
room.
yeah, that's fake. And like the gym, I was like, nope, we did not have
We
that.
had like a treadmill, maybe. Like, and just like everyone just being like so obsessed with Elle Woods. And I get it, she was the president, but like that was just like not a thing. And maybe at Alabama was a little bit differently because we had so many people in the sorority that like you knew people, but you weren't like close friends with everybody.
Yeah.
Like nobody was going to pass around a card for somebody going on a date that they may or may not be getting engaged on,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't know. There was just like they played it up, and like when she, and I know we're gonna like continue talking about these scenes, but when she like gets her LSAT scores, and it's like a party with
silly
like,
string
and all this,
and confetti. Yeah.
our house mother would have literally murdered all of us. Like that. It's just like some of it was just like a little bit over the top.
Wait, why? Just because you were like being messy?
Silly string will literally stain the walls.
So the girls really in
Yeah.
sororities are more classy than that, basically, is what you're saying.
I think just like it's more like the sorority girls are more just like normal girls.
Oh.
They're not all like up in your face, and like everyone's like they kind of made it out like it was a sorority full of Elle Woodses.
Yeah.
Whereas like usually a sorority's got like one or two Elle Woods, and everybody else is just like a regular girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good point. Okay. So it does, like, though, speak to one thing that is commonly thought of with sorority girls, is that they're just like going to school to get a man kind of thing. And so I think that's like kind of what y'all were saying, like the character arcs like really make this movie. And it's that they really, that Elle learns like, oh, it's not just about like getting this man or whatever, it's about getting what I really want. But it's funny at the beginning because she's very clearly like, just, it feels like just going for her MRS degree and going after Warner. So we have to talk about their date where she thinks she's going to get engaged, and that's definitely not what happens.
Yeah, it's a tough scene to watch for sure.
It's so
It's
sad.
so sad, yeah.
I just cannot imagine being in a restaurant where someone's making that big of a scene. Like, I get it, like you're being broken up with, but like that is so dramatic, like everything.
My favorite part of this entire, like that whole scene is when they've left the restaurant and he's like, come on, like get in the car. And she's like, no. And he's like, no, you're going to ruin your shoes. And she's like, okay. I thought that was really, really well written.
Yeah, I think she's just like so cute the whole time. Like, you just feel so bad for her because she had so much faith that like everything he told her was true, and he was kind of just like bullshitting her because she was like the pretty girl and she was his Marilyn, and she's like, I deserve to be put on display. I'm not a background gal.
And he's like so matter of fact about it, like I can't marry you, obviously.
And he's like, Pooh Bear, and she's like you would use my nickname after you've just been a total jerk to me?
And then flash forward, he calls Vivian Pooh Bear, which is just like disgusting. Well, it's a gross nickname in general, like I could never, but to use it again for like the next person you date, I don't know, that was weird.
Leigh, what would you do if somebody started dating like not sarcastically, like called you Pooh Bear?
It would, that'd be a hard no. We would have to come up with some alternatives.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't even imagine. I feel like I would like immediately burst out laughing. Okay, so next is Elle decides like she's gonna go to Harvard. She's gonna get into law school. And I think it's kind of like there's a lot to talk about here, but I think it's kind of all summed up in her admissions essay video. And that was just like, if anything in this movie really is like that slapstick comedy, like American Pie vibe, like this is it. Like really.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the most unrealistic part, that first of all, they would allow a video essay to get into Harvard. And that does it for them. And I love that, like, the scene where, like, the professors all click it off and they're all just, like, silently staring, like, one of the best scenes ever.
I know. When they were, like, going around, like, trying to justify letting her into school, I was like, oh, my gosh. Amazing.
She designed a line of faux fur panties.
She's a friend to the animals.
She's a friend to the
animals.
animals.
Well as a philanthropist.
Her list of extracurriculars is very long.
The other part of this too is like when she was telling everybody that she was going to go to law school and she told her parents and they like didn't take her seriously. They was like, you don't need to go to law school.
Law school's for ugly people.
Well, so what her dad said, I wrote it down, law school is for people who are boring, ugly, and serious.
And it's like, you pumpkin are none of those things or something like that. And it's like, okay, rude.
I know. I love that every time you see her dad, he's got like a martini.
Yeah. That's my mom's favorite at the end of graduation when he like cheers as the martini.
You know what's funny about that is, what do you think her dad does? Like, he probably is like a lawyer or something like that.
Executive of some kind.
Yeah.
Must be an executive.
Has to be. What else could it be?
But alas, Elle gets into Harvard, of course. Wouldn't be a story without it. And
They couldn't not let her in. I mean, she went through all that effort.
4.0.
And she got a 179 on her LSAT. Listen, isn't the perfect score like a 180?
It's something crazy. Yeah. Like getting a 179 is very hard. I don't know personally, but I feel like my friends who have taken the LSAT have told me, like, again, that's an unrealistic piece of the movie that she would just like,
I feel like,
start
though,
studying and then get it.
It had like she had to have gotten a high LSAT score because that's the only way like that she would have gotten in, like, actually. Yeah, because that's hard to like deny, I guess. Although, don't you think that like everybody who goes to Harvard has a high LSAT score?
Well, they have to have a 175 at least.
That's just what her counselor
according
said.
to the movie.
They probably like don't actually. Like, you think Warner got a 175? Probably not.
No, because he got
Vivian
waitlisted.
says that he got waitlisted and his dad had to make a phone call.
So I'm sure he didn't have 175.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Definitely not a 179.
No.
Genius.
It's so funny. Her like studying in the sorority house and her sorority sister is like quizzing her. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Elle goes to Harvard and her first day at Harvard seems to be like a little bit of a wake-up call, and it starts before she even goes to class with like the scene of her like getting her admission stuff and then like going on the lawn and sitting in that like powwow circle with some of the new students, and they're like going around like kind of giving their story, and then it gets to Elle, and she gives her a description, and I feel like from there it's just like a little bit of a downward spiral for like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, because everyone's just judging her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that she like introduces herself. She's like,
Gemini
we're
vegetarians.
both Gemini vegetarians.
What does that even mean? Like, they're both
born in June.
And they're both vegetarians.
They're vegetarian.
okay.
The group is immediately just like, okay.
All very skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought it was super unrealistic that literally everyone would be mean to her. Like,
That's true. Even the guy
she,
who
like,
gives her
pulls up
the
to
like packet is really rude to her.
yeah. And she like pulls up to the school and immediately people are just like gawking at her. And I guess that's kind of like dramatized because it's a movie and it's supposed to be like the odds were not in her favor and blah, blah, blah. But it just seems kind of silly. Like, I just can't imagine that there's not a single person there that's also blonde and like has a similar story.
well, it's probably like the same kind of thing from the beginning that people kind of make assumptions about her. Like, I'm sure people assume that she didn't get a 179 or LSAT, that her dad made a call and that's how she got in, you know? Like, I think that's probably why.
Yeah.
Because I would be mad. Like, if I spent, you know, my whole life up until that point, like, working super hard to get into Harvard, and then I saw somebody like that, and, like, it is kind of unrealistic, like we said, that she actually got the grade, right? So, like, I feel like that's probably what everyone's thinking, is they're, like, just making assumptions about her. Not saying it's the right thing. Just...
Can we next talk about her first day of school outfit?
Yes,
Sure.
I was going to bring this up also. So ugly.
The turquoise robe
That
with
was weird.
the like slightly different colored turquoise pencil skirt that's metallic.
And the boots are like camel colored leather or something. But again, when I was little, I was like, oh, she looks so fly. Like, I'm going to wear that to school too.
Did you really think that? So bad.
I did.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
I think if I had the opportunity, I would honestly wear that because Elle Woods wore it. Like,
I will say that 2001, that was like the beginning of a really, really weird era for women's fashion. Like, that was like coming up on the time when, like, you know, like iconic picture of Ashley Tisdale with like, you know what I'm talking about? Like the belt, like over her dress.
Yeah, the belt and the like sequin shrug thing.
Yes. And I just feel like this is like the beginning of that era of fashion, and it's just like really not a good time. So
yeah,
Elle Woods paved the way for that to begin.
Yeah.
You know, it's really fun. So, like, aside from that outfit, I think all of Elle Woods' outfits are like super cute. Like, other than that one, that's like the one that you're kind of like, but Reese Witherspoon, like after having read the script, she was the first actress to read the script. And after having read through it, she made them put in her contract that she would get to keep all the clothes. She got to keep all of her outfits. And hang on, I wrote down how many there were.
Why?
60.
60?
There were 60 outfits,
so
and she got to
smart.
keep every single one of
Oh my
them.
God. Even all the dresses.
Yes, everything.
I feel like she really is like in real life, like Elle Woods. That's like so smart and like something I would not think to do. Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that was a fun
Look
fact.
at you, Reese. I think Reese Witherspoon is very interesting. I like religiously read off of her book club and like watch a lot of the shows that she creates out of her book club, and like it's just really interesting to me that like that's what she is now, and like this is where she started, right? Like this is her first like big movie that she was the star in, and I don't know, paving the way for women everywhere, even from like this movie. Like it's so cool to hear that she's like changing the narrative within it, you know?
This movie, they didn't think it was going to be successful. It had, the budget for this movie was only $18 million.
Wow.
But it ended up making like in its first week or whatever 140 something million.
Wow.
It was like surprising for everyone.
and
they're like,
we've already talked about it, but it's like iconic. Like this movie is iconic. Like
Yeah.
the character Elle Woods is like a
everybody knows this movie.
yeah,
Even if you've never seen it, like you know the movie.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It was even available on Delta when I flew home from Switzerland. I had
Did you watch
watched,
it again?
I thought about it. I watched Bridget Jones' Diary instead,
that's a
which is
great
a
one,
similarly
too.
good choice.
Yes.
Yeah. But I was like, wow, that's so funny. Like, it's still popular enough to be on an airplane
On an
movie
international
list.
airplane.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so next scene is the not so costume party when Elle shows up as a Playboy bunny to the just like normal.
Hi guys, this party is super fun.
I like what I like about this scene is that she's just acts totally unfazed. Like
Yeah. She has to own
After her
it.
initial thought, she's like she's like, oh no, and she's like, okay, just go along with it now.
Yeah.
I'm already here.
But then that's also the scene where she finally, it clicks, like, I'm never going to get Warner, but also I probably don't want him. And, like, I'm going to do this for me.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's where she kind of starts like getting back at him versus like trying to like win him over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then immediately goes to buy a computer in her costume and gets her pink MacBook.
That okay, did you notice
So
that
cute.
like when she was in class, the computer, the Apple logo was upside down? Or it looked upside down? Did either of you notice that? No?
No.
I was thinking about it because I was like, my Apple laptop, like the Apple is right side up. So I wonder if that was like like maybe that wasn't actually an Apple and they were just like impersonating it and that's why it was upside down, or if like the original MacBooks, like that was a design flaw. I don't know.
It might have been just a design flaw. I can't imagine that Apple wouldn't want their product
Yeah.
in a movie like this.
I don't know.
But
Really weird.
I don't know. I didn't even look at it. I saw pink and I was like, you go, girl. That's it.
Also, of course, she shows up as a Playboy bunny, like of all the costumes, like full out.
Yeah.
Like,
She has to.
yeah.
She's trying to win her man back.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And he loved it. Like, he was
did.
very into it.
He was a little bit handsy.
He was pretty
kinda
handsy.
gross.
And she was handsy too, a little bit. And I was like, ooh.
Pansy. I was thinking that. I was like, okay, but what about Vivian Kensington over there, like downstairs?
She's got the Harry Winston on her bony unmanicured finger.
Well,
She doesn't care.
that was a weird
You've
ring.
got the rock, honey.
So large.
Oh, it's so ugly.
Yes.
I think. I don't know. Sorry.
Not
I don't like
shiny.
that kind of ring, but yeah, I don't like that kind. It's like a pear shape. Not a fan.
Yeah.
No.
Pear is not in right now. It's just
Was it
not.
ever?
Could you imagine having
Sorry.
No.
a
Back in Warner's grandmother's day.
Yeah.
No, the rings back then were teeny
It's not
tiny.
like she would FedEx a 6-carat diamond.
Could you imagine having a ring that big that you had to like wear around. I feel like I would never wear it.
Oh, I would wear it.
I would love that.
Yeah, I would wear it everywhere.
Oh, this old thing.
My ring, this one.
That's funny.
Yeah, I would wear that. Even if it was the pear shape, I would
Yeah,
still
that's
wear
true.
it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying no to it. I just.
Okay, I love that y'all just spent like a long time like ragging on the ring, and now you're like, oh, I'd wear it for sure.
You can't turn down 6 carat, and it's probably platinum. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, speaking of getting a guy's attention, the next scene I want to talk about is Elle teaching Jennifer Coolidge the bend and snap. Yes.
It's cute.
Classic.
It is cute.
Mm-hmm.
I like when later Jennifer Coolidge like attempts the bend and snap on her own, and it's just a really like bad situation for the UPS man.
Breaks his nose.
I know.
Mm-hmm. I love how Elle, like, in an attempt to try and make Paulette feel better, she's like, oh, don't worry, like, my cousin's friend like once puked on a guy at a movie theater, and like they went on to date for 3 months. Like, don't worry, you're fine.
Okay, so I know we already talked about how like the bend and snap almost wasn't in the movie, but where did they even come up with that? Like, so random.
So, well, you said someone was drunk, right?
Yeah, I think like the producers were like out at a dinner, and it was like a boozy dinner, and they were trying to figure out how they were going to incorporate Jennifer Coolidge. Because I think she was like, she had already kind of made a name for her as this like comedic side character, and they were trying to showcase her because I'm sure they were paying her a lot of money, and they were also trying to bring more of like a rom-com feel to the movie, because Elle's journey really isn't like a romantic story. It's a drama. And so I think they were trying to bring more of the rom-com element, and somebody came up with it. A genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truly.
Wouldn't be the same without it.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so next is the alibi with Brooke Taylor. Got the name right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brooke Wyndham. Yeah, originally Taylor.
Oh, my bad.
Because Wyndham is her husband.
Oh,
Hayworth Wyndham.
yes, him.
But I think she's like known in the like workout world as Brooke Taylor's butt buster
She's
workouts.
a fraud, getting liposuction.
I loved everything about that.
Yes.
Scene. Her like trying to like she's like, what? And she's like, liposuction. Oh god. And you're like, you just screamed it. Like all you had to do was like speak at normal level.
Yeah. It's like an iconic scene for sure.
It's so good. And Reese Witherspoon going, like,
no.
it's the most shocking thing I've ever heard.
And the fact that she like
a woman could have this ass.
She keeps the secret throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
She never tells. It's amazing.
And like after a certain point, nobody even asks her again.
Yeah.
You would think they would keep asking her. She's on trial for murder.
Yeah. Like, can you please?
I would be like, girl, you gotta give up the secret. Like, you've got to give it up. Like,
she tells them if they ask her on the stand, she said she'd lie.
That is so crazy. She's like, I'd rather give up my reputation than, or I'd rather go to prison.
I'd rather go to jail than give up my reputation.
Yeah.
Which, by going to jail, you are giving up your reputation, but we'll just let her have that one.
Not necessarily.
You win today, Brooke.
Not necessarily. Okay, so next is the most like predictable but horrible part of the movie was when Callahan hits on Elle, which breaks my heart a lot, honestly, because I was kind of like a fan of him until like maybe like 5 minutes before that scene happened, and then I could kind of feel like something bad was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like a very unfortunate scene, but I think it was really important that they included it in the movie, which at the time, I think that was pretty risque thing to include. Yeah. And also, like equally risque was her female professor telling her like, you shouldn't let this ruin everything. Like, he doesn't even really matter in the grand scheme of things. But interestingly, so they wanted to film the beginning parts of this movie at Stanford in California, but because of that scene, Stanford said, no, you can't film here.
Oh.
Because they didn't want to be associated with anything like that.
Yeah, because they knew
So
they'd been
a lot
just, like,
of
pushing all those events under the rug for years and years and years.
Yep. But a lot of it was filmed at UCLA.
Okay.
So,
you know, I didn't even think about that, like how different the climate for that type of content was in 2001. And like how easy it is to watch it today in 2023 and be like, oh, haha, like predictable, like professor groping the student scene. But like back then it was kind of like a statement for a kids movie too. Kind of interesting.
well, I don't know
No,
that
it's
this was a kids'
PG-13.
movie.
I know that because it was the first PG-13 movie I ever watched. And I was not yet 13. And afterwards, I had like so many questions for my mom. And that was like basically the night she sat me down and was like, all right, we're going to answer all these questions and just like,
out
here
now.
we go.
I did not realize this movie was PG-13.
not a kids' movie.
Yeah,
That kind of makes sense. But it's like almost like too silly to be like a PG-13 movie. It's interesting.
They use a lot of inappropriate language.
Yeah, they do.
And say a lot of inappropriate things. In the
You're
movie.
totally right.
That's what all my questions were about.
Okay, well, the last scene I want to talk about is Elle winning the trial because of the perm. What an amazing piece of writing.
It's like amazingly perfect, except also so unrealistic. She could have just gotten another perm like after that. But but no, it's amazing, and it's perfect.
I like this scene too when Luke Wilson's character like gets the boyfriend, the pool boy, to like admit that he has a boyfriend.
Yeah, he's gay. Yeah,
but like the way that he went about
name
it
is so casual,
like just like rapid firing questions and then like getting him to slip up. Like those are like the
I liked the way that Elle figured it out, and she was like at the water thing, and Enrique cuts her in line, and she starts like tapping her shoe, and he's like, "Don't snap your little last season Prada shoes on me, honey." She's like, "These are not last season."
Very cute. And then
I love when Elle gets to like get up there and when it like clicks for her that she's like, I caught you. Like, you didn't think anyone here was gonna be able to figure that out, but like I figured it out. And it just, I think it's so silly that Chutney like gives it up so fast. She doesn't even like try to evade it. She's like, she's almost my age. Like, do you even know what it's like to have your father married to someone who's your age? And then when Elle's like, but you had plenty of time to stash the gun, didn't you, Chutney? And she's like, I didn't mean to shoot him. I thought it was her coming through. And then the judge is just like, order in the court. And she's like, Miss Wyndham, you are free to go. like bailiff, arrest Chutney.
Very
blah,
not
blah,
how
blah.
court works.
no, not at all. But also like very much,
You've been in jail for months, but you're free now. Like,
very much how all of those like shows work though. Like all the court shows, they're all similar to that, like comedy and so dramatic.
Yeah. So I know we already talked about the admissions essay, her video essay, but one part that they wanted to include in that essay, they were going to have a cameo from Judge Judy. But they couldn't get her to agree to be in the movie.
What was she gonna say? Like, and I endorse.
I don't know, but it would have been perfect.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I endorse Elle Woods. Yep.
What's funny?
There was gonna be like a whole like side plot where she had to like go and get her to be in her film, and they just couldn't get her to agree to it.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so fun. Everybody would know who that is. Okay. Anything else like scene wise that we didn't cover before I start going through quotes?
The other scene I love is when they go to get Paulette's dog from the husband.
Oh,
and she has to like pretend to be the lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm taking the dog.
Yeah. I like how she, like, it's her first intro to like being a lawyer. Like I'm glad they had that scene before they just like had her become like an awesome lawyer, like actually in court, because I feel like that would have been way too unrealistic for her to go from like 0 to 100 like that fast.
Yeah, except everything she's saying is fake.
I know.
Yeah.
Did you habeas corpus?
I know.
Do you know what
Subject matter
blah, blah
jurisdiction is? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Like, no. Yeah. She's like saying things.
And then I love when she's like, since you've retained this residence.
It is like the smallest motorhome I've ever seen. It's like a tiny motorhome.
Yeah, well, it's like 1,000% better off.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
So we all three love that Elle like does that for Paulette, but that specifically, like the movie got a lot of criticism from like the law world, the lawyers and the attorneys and everybody because of that scene.
Why?
Because like as like a law student and a lawyer, you're not allowed to like fake it.
Yeah.
So she was like faking that she was a lawyer, and like in real life if she had gotten found out she would have been barred from practicing. It's like a big no-no.
Everybody knows that movie was fake. Not to follow
everybody.
Courtney.
Were they not upset by the ending where like they don't even go to the jury? Like that's what they're gonna get hung up on.
Order in the court.
That's crazy. It's kind of funny. Okay, so I'm gonna
Wait.
Oh, go ahead.
Wait, we cannot like not talk about Elle's graduation speech.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Oh
You're
yeah,
right.
the most iconic line of the movie.
We did kind of skip over the end.
Spoiler, she graduates.
Yeah, of
with
course.
a law degree.
Top of her class.
Top of her class. She's the elected speaker at their graduation. She says like 2 sentences.
I know, shortest speech of all time.
I know.
I liked her speech though, and I liked that the
good.
woman professor, I think her name is Holland Taylor, that she's the one that like presents her and is like, yeah, she made it. I was surprised.
So I already mentioned that Emmett and Elle both had wigs on in this scene.
Yeah.
But what I didn't mention was the scene was actually shot in London.
Random.
It wasn't even shot like at a school in the United States.
It does look different.
But that was, it was shot in London. And that was because that's where Reese Witherspoon was shooting for her new film.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At the time.
That's cool.
But still amazing. I also, and I could be completely wrong because I've never seen Harvard's campus. Did they even film at Harvard at all?
Probably not, honestly. It didn't look like it.
I don't know. I have not been there.
How would we know?
That's not true. I was there once, but I don't remember.
I mean, it was believable that it was Harvard to me, but it was also believable that it wasn't Harvard. So they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. It just looked too bright.
Yeah, they didn't go anywhere that I was like, oh, that's like an iconic Harvard place, or like that feels very Boston. That's where Harvard is. Yeah. Like it was just like a college campus. So yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to rapid fire some quotes. Okay. We already said some of them, so I hope I don't repeat them. But feel free to throw in quotes of your own as well. Okay. I know you're upset about this, but can't you just take a Percocet?
Can't you just take a Percocet? We didn't even mention her
the
sidekick friends.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That are literally only there for comedy.
I love them.
Not only in this movie, but in the second one as well.
Yeah.
They are straight comedy.
Oh. They're very funny.
Yeah.
I like when
she's like the lucky scrunchie. And she's like, you passed Spanish because you gave Professor Montoya a lap dance. And she's like, yeah.
Luckily.
That's when like they call, like the friends call Elle when she's at law school, right?
that's when
a different scene.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
they do
Okay.
that when she's getting her dress fitting.
Yes. Yeah.
And
they're
then
"Come
Elle's
home."
like talking about, and Elle's like saying how hard it is. And then the other friend's like, wait, I forgot to tell you. I got bangs.
It's like, this is way more important than Harvard. Your little like hobby project.
Okay. We're going to keep going through the quotes. The next one is lesbians against drunk driving. That's all I remember about the quote, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like very random.
That same girl during the party scene, the not so costume party, she's talking to Warner about the semesters and wanting them to be called ovesters.
Yeah, I loved that.
To support
I
women.
was like, yeah, let's call them ovesters. That's my new thing.
So this movie is based on a book. It's not based on a book. It's like an adaptation of a book. And the woman who wrote the book, I think her name's like Amanda Brown or something like that. But she said that was like an actual quote that she overheard when she was in Boston. Like somebody actually said that, like, we should call them ovesters. And she said in the book, she said like she laughed, but she was the only person laughing. Like everyone else was like very serious about it.
That's very funny. Well, it's funny because that girl's being so serious, and like, of course, we stand with her, but it's just funny. Okay, this one's a very classic one that has to be mentioned. You got into Harvard Law? What? Like it's hard?
What? Like it's hard?
I can do anything, Warner.
And the funny thing in that scene too is like the audience doesn't know it yet, but like he had to have his father get him in.
He's probably assuming she had to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because he's known her for long enough, I guess.
He's awful. He does not have a redemption arc. He just fails at the end of the movie, which
he gets worse and worse.
Yeah. Or we just realize how bad he really is. Like he really was the same from the beginning. Okay, so next is, I think Jennifer Coolidge says this: if a girl like you can't hold on to her man, then there sure as hell isn't any hope for the rest of us.
I like when Jennifer Coolidge, Elle like comes in, sits down for the first time. She's like obviously been crying, and she's like, and like starts telling her like what's going on, and then Paulette goes, well, is she as pretty as you? That's like the first thing that she asks.
Yeah.
Okay, the only one that I have like three more, but the only one that y'all haven't already said is, and I'm trying to remember what part of the movie this is, but maybe y'all can help me.
I can tell you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I can tell you.
It says, then let me show you a picture of his dick.
Oh, it's when they're saying like he was like 30 years older than you,
or whatever.
That doesn't look so good to a jury. And then Vic says, well, then show them a picture of his dick. I also asked my mother
clear
about
some
that.
things up.
I was like, I don't understand what that means. My mom explained it, and I was like, I still don't really get it. Now I get it, but as a child, I was like, what?
How old were you when you
Why would anyone
watched
care?
this movie?
I was I was like, I think under 10. Like it was, my parents were like, she can handle it. And then they pressed play and they like looked at each other like, oh God,
oh no,
what have we done?
Yeah, you're so
yeah.
right. This is not a kid's movie, like very far from it. Okay.
Yeah. It seems innocent though, like the name and like Reese, Reese Witherspoon, how bad can it be? And then a lot of subtleties that I guess maybe children miss, but I did not miss them.
No.
Yeah.
No. Maybe
So there's two other quotes, Courtney, that you missed.
Okay.
So, and they both are when Elle and Emmett go to interrogate the former Mrs. Wyndham.
Okay.
And
what a scene.
So on the way there, Elle calls Emmett a butthead. And he says, like, I don't think anyone's called me a butthead since grade school. And she said, maybe not to your face.
Yeah, that was cute.
And then the second one was I can't remember exactly what happened, but she said, well, why not? Like, people discriminate against me because of the color of my hair. And Emmett's like, well, being blonde is like a power. Like, you should embrace it. And he's like, maybe I'll go blonde. And she's like, I don't think that's your color.
No.
I don't think you
That's
can
like a
handle
nod.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nod to Owen Wilson because Owen's blonde.
Yeah, that's
Oh my God,
so
I never put that together. That's funny.
How funny.
Yep. I love all of Elle and Emmett's interactions. Like, if I could just bottle up like everything that they have and like just have it for myself, I would, because they're just so cute all the time.
Yes, agree.
Okay, so that's all I have. Unless y'all have anything else, we're gonna move on to the ratings. Okay.
I think I named all of mine from memory.
Oh, I know. There were lots throughout.
I told you I could probably recite the dialogue if I just sat here and like really thought about it. When I was on my run this morning, I was doing it to myself.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, Leigh, would you like to give us your rating first? Just as a reminder, we use letterboxd rating, so from 0 to 5 stars with half-star increments.
I don't think this is going to come as a shock, but 5. Absolutely 5. One of the best movies of all time.
Do you think that this movie has like that like total nostalgia factor for you because like you were so young when you watched it first?
I think it definitely it does, but I also every time I watch it, which is a lot, like see something new in it that I didn't see before, or like a joke that I didn't get when I was little that I get now, or like having more appreciation that Warner sucked from the beginning, even though when I was little I didn't really get that.
Yeah.
And I think, you said before at the beginning, like, if you haven't seen it, you're probably a guy. But I think even guys like this movie. Like, it's just a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I promise I'm more like gender accepting than I give off sometimes. I make bad jokes. Okay, Liz, what is your rating?
This is also not a shock, but I also gave this 5 stars.
Wow.
I've been obsessed with this movie, and I couldn't tell you the first time I saw it. I literally don't even know. But from like the first time I saw it, I've been obsessed. And I have this movie and the second one on DVD. And like this is just one of those that I could just watch over and over again. It aged well.
It did age well, I think.
And it's just like a good, like, strong female representation for all the women out there that aren't like the strong personalitied women who like to wear pink and like to be sparkly and want to have their little toy dog that they walk around with. Like, you can still be the strong woman without being like boring.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, and I feel like we didn't touch on this because I didn't want to like harp on it too much, but like, it is really true. Like, I feel like we all work in relatively male-dominated fields. And, like, I think being able to be yourself despite that is, like, a really cool lesson.
Yeah.
And I think this is, like, a really good ode to that.
Agree.
However, y'all are going to hate me because of my rating.
Oh, no.
It's okay. Give it to us.
So I gave this movie 2.5 stars. Which, Leigh,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that's like a middle of the road rating for me.
Courtney's really tough with her ratings.
That's not true. I've given all of our movies so
is.
far 4 stars or above.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't think you have.
I have.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, well, we're recording them all out of order, so it's confusing. But yeah, I thought this movie was really, really funny. Like I was laughing while I was watching it, but to be honest, I probably wouldn't like go to watch it again. Like, it wouldn't be like my go-to kind of movie. So that's really the main reason. And it's like verging on that slapstick comedy, which is not my favorite. It's like far enough away that it still got that 2.5 stars, but yeah.
You should not watch the sequel.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna watch this.
We're gonna watch it.
There's supposed to be a third one coming out like this year. They haven't released like when exactly it's coming out, but Reese Witherspoon did say that they've been
I feel like though
it,
that falls into the same category for me as like Princess Diaries 3. They keep saying it's coming, and I would love for it too, but
I haven't heard that one is a thing, but that would be very fun. I do like the Princess Diary movies a lot.
I have heard that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all we have. Leigh, thank you so much for joining. I think that you were the perfect person to join for this movie. I loved that you quoted it the entire time. So
Proud of myself.
thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you. And I do think had I not watched it a few days ago, I still would have been able to do that.
Oh, 100%. You could tell. You were like correcting us when we said the quotes wrong.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being my first podcast experience.
Yeah, we're honored. All right. So now we are going to wrap it up and talk about our season 1 merch giveaway. So Liz and I are making merch. We are not wearing any of it, unfortunately, but we have lots of fun stuff. So you can go to our Instagram for all the full details. We're promoting like season 1. It's our launch merch giveaway. So go to our Instagram for full details on how to enter. And you can find us on our socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Be Critics Podcast.
And thank you so much again for checking us out. We appreciate it if you could leave us a rating and a review. And if you really like what's going on, subscribe and follow. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
And check out our website, becritics.com, or find all of these links on our link tree in the episode show notes.
All right, I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, guys.